Welcome to How You Livin', a transformative podcast featuring best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and minister, Dr. Rick Rigsby. And now, Dr. Rick.
Hello, friends. Thanks so much for listening. I want to spend some time talking about leadership. No, not the shallow, superficial version of leadership that tends to define some of the practices in this current age. Rather, I'd like to talk about genuine leadership, the type of behavior that inspires people. You see, I want to be influenced by leaders, by someone whose actions are just, whose life is honorable, whose words cause me to stand a few inches taller, whose life challenges me to be a better person. My concern, such genuine leadership in this present day has been supplanted, replaced by clicks and views and likes, co-opted by how slick our brand is and how well we present. I call this impressionistic leadership. It's a superficial, watered-down version of being a leader. Now, make no mistake about it. Branding is important. Clicks and likes do have value, and learning to present well helps us to connect. However, these are not the building blocks that create the foundation that leadership, genuine leadership, is built upon. So, for the next few podcast episodes, let's discuss what's meant by genuine leadership. I begin with this definition. I define a genuine leader as one who displays influential behavior in a manner that motivates and inspires others to improve their lives. Let me say that again. Genuine leadership. A genuine leader is one who displays influential behavior in a manner that motivates and inspires others to improve their lives. Developing influential behavior, this, I really believe, is the foundation for effective leadership. Author and speaker and master executive trainer John Maxwell stated on one occasion that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I believe our ability to influence people within the sphere of our periphery determines the impact that we can have on those people. If we're influencing people around us, it's highly likely that we have the possibility that we can impact them. However, if we're not influencing folks, forget about impacting them. So, over the next few episodes, I'd like to engage in a discussion about the basics of genuine leadership. The basics of genuine leadership. My motivation is personal. I'm on a quest. I'm on a journey to constantly improve in every area of my life. My goal? To discover every day how I can be a better person, a better husband, a better father, grandfather, employer, minister, motivational speaker, author, a more effective person, a person who's more of an active listener. For whatever reason, my learning style resists the complicated. I learn best by breaking things down to the most common components. From classical Greek to multivariate regression analysis, I'm a student of the basics. I've learned this way all my life, from grade school to grad school. For me, understanding the basics have proven to be the most useful and instructive way of learning. Just a quick word about that. Friends, resist the temptation to follow the crowd when it comes to learning. Many people learn in a logical manner. Many people learn in a linear progression. But others, like me, learn through storytelling and other non-traditional approaches to learning. If you listen to my podcast for any period of time, you always hear me referring to the basics. Here's the reason why. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a presidential appointed judge in Washington, D.C., and we're not the smartest ones in our family. My mother, a country woman from Oklahoma. My father, a 3rd grade dropout from Texas. Like most in their generation, practiced basics every single day. I grew up watching basics in action every single day. This is why I want to discuss the basics of genuine leadership. Specifically, over the next couple of weeks, I want to talk about what is influence and how can a leader use influence to inspire other people? And perhaps most important, how do we grow our influence every single day? Simply stated, I believe that influence is the capacity to guide and inspire others toward positive change and collective success. Our capacity for influence grows as we choose to make right choices every single day. I learned that firsthand from my dad, the wisest man I ever met, despite his lack of education. For my 40-plus years spent with my father, I can state rather emphatically that my dad lived an unremarkable yet remarkably profound life. Listen to this. He told the truth. He thought the best of people. He did what he said he was going to do. My dad kept a trust. He kept his word. My dad never lied. He didn't cheat. He didn't steal. My father was kind to all people. And though we had little in terms of possessions, visitors to our home were always treated with what we had. They were always treated with the best. In fact, my dad taught us to always give our best, to feed the hungry, to serve the less fortunate, to care for those who were in need. Growing up, I really didn't think much about his behaviors. Growing up, I really didn't think or evaluate the choices that he made on a daily basis. But the more I study leadership, the more I study genuine, authentic, effective leadership, the more I discover that my father was growing his leadership acumen every single day. And he was growing his leadership influence during the routine moments of life. How? By building trust, by establishing credibility, by demonstrating reliability, by showing empathy, by acting with integrity, by being kind, by serving people, by helping people, all people. Simply stated, my father grew his leadership influence every day, and he did it without formal education, removed from the halls of academia, without attending seminars or workshops, without reading books other than the Bible and a publication he read religiously called the St. Louis Sporting News. He did it without streaming platforms or instructive videos or TED Talks or online classes. It reminds me of a quote from tennis great Arthur Ashe, who said on one occasion, "Start where you are. Use what you've got. Do what you can." This explains my father's recipe, his requiem, if you will, for developing his influence. Living the right way every single day. That's it. Living the right way during the simple, often mundane rhythms and routines of life. Friends, I've been fortunate to have had a speaking career that has spanned some 4 decades, and I've been able to come up with a few original quotes in my 40 years of professional speaking. But one quote has become one of my favorite originals because it speaks to the essence of my father. Here it is. Unremarkable consistency produces remarkable stability. I'm going to say that again. Unremarkable consistency produces remarkable stability. My dad grew his influence each and every day by practicing in an unremarkable way the basics of good behavior. The Bible calls it righteous living, doing the right thing all the time. Was he perfect? No. Was he consistent? Yes. Friends, when we are consistently doing our best, despite our flaws, despite our shortcomings, we're building a reservoir of trust, of credibility, and respect. It's the fuel that feeds influence, and influence is the trademark of leadership. This is why the habits we develop are so critically important. Our habits determine whether our influence will be positive or negative. Let me give you a simple example. What if you're the type of person who's developed the habit of constantly complaining? What if you discover that you complain more than you show gratitude? Without realizing it, you're affecting everyone around you. You're creating a negative environment with your words. You're sabotaging your own creativity and your strength while making it impossible to inspire others. You don't inspire people by stating what you can't do and what you don't have and why things are so hard and why they'll never change. Those might be realities, but those realities, I would argue, are temporary. I never heard my father respond negatively to a temporary reality. You know what I heard my father, my entire life, say? I heard him say words that were positive. Here's how I heard my father speak: with words of faith, with words of thanksgiving, with words of gratitude. And perhaps this might explain how we had very little, but we lacked for nothing. Good habits, habitually practiced, will grow your influence. Now that's a great basic to remember. Listen to this quote from 18th century writer and poet Samuel Johnson. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Let me say that one more time. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. When we complain over and over and over, rehearsing the same scenarios, the same negative scripts over and over and over again without realizing it, it becomes our nature. At some point, we become unaware that we're complaining. It's uninspiring. Conversely, when we speak from a heart of gratitude, when we speak thanksgiving, filled with faith, people around us, even in the most dire of situations, will be uplifted. They'll be encouraged. That's influence. Friends, that's genuine leadership. Don't ever forget that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until too heavy to be broken. Our habits determine the capacity of our influence, which determines the impact of our leadership. Thus, influence is critical because it's shaping values, attitudes, behaviors, not just ours, but those around us. And our influence will determine whether people remain stagnant or are motivated to take actions and achieve a common goal. Let me close by sharing some results from a recent joint Harris USA News survey. The majority of Americans don't see any leaders where they work that they aspire to become themselves. Also, the majority of those surveyed in this study stated that they believe that America is suffering a leadership crisis. How could that be? The greatest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world, dealing with a leadership crisis. So let me close with this question. When others observe your behavior and hear your words, are they influenced to be better people? Let's address this question the next time we visit. That's going to do it for this episode. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Rick, asking the most important question I can ask. How you living?
Are you ready to make an impact in your world right now? Do you want to stop existing and start living your best life right now? Dr. Rick wants to give you the first chapter of his best-selling book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, absolutely free. Just go to www.rickrigsby.com/free gift to get the print or audiobook right now.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.